I'm joined with my beautiful co-host, Simma The Inclusionist.
Hello again. I'm still here.
Thank God.
And thank me.
I didn't know what was going to happen if you were going to just go poof like a malt ball or something.
A moth ball?
No, a malt. You know, you put it in your mouth.
Oh, I like malt balls. Yeah, they're good.
Yeah, so you, my dear, I love you because you are the most knowledgeable person here on the show, and you're a great co-host, but also more importantly, you were there at the 1963 March on Washington, weren't you?
I was. And in fact, Martin Luther King's birthday is important as we come up to, as we've had Martin Luther King's birthday this week. It's important because of who Martin Luther King was, the work he did for civil rights, the impact of his work, and the legacy he left. The legacy he left that all people should have the opportunity to succeed, that discrimination must end, and that major change is possible. Civil rights laws that included the right to vote, end of segregation in schools, lunch counters, and businesses were enacted because of the boycotts and demonstrations that he led. But, like today, it was more than the laws, because even with laws, people were denied entrance to schools, housing, and good jobs. Ultimately, it took the groundswell of people coming together and bringing down the culture of segregation in the United States, so that now, while discrimination, racism, sexism, homophobia, etc., still exist on many levels, they're no longer considered the norm, or, oh, like it's no big deal. In fact, now if somebody's accused of being racist or homophobic or whatever, the first thing is to deny it. In the old days, it was, yeah, okay, so what? Give me a medal. But before civil rights, in many parts of the country, amongst many people, if someone committed an act of blatant racism, the reaction really was, so what? Now you hear most people getting defensive because public opinion doesn't support discrimination like it used to. Now, every year at this time, because this is the month of January, the media rightfully recalls the March on Washington in 1963, which was the largest civil rights march at that time. And I'm really proud to say that I was one of the marchers. Although I was only 13 at the time, I didn't really understand the politics, but I understood how wrong discrimination was. I went on the march because many of my friends and their parents were going. I went on the march because I was angry that some of my friends that I grew up with wouldn't have been allowed in the same restaurants, schools, and other places if we lived in the South. And I went because at the time, I just wanted to see Washington, D.C. But when I left the march, I knew on a visceral level that a big change was coming. And I knew, as young as I was, that I wanted to be part of that change. That day, I saw people of all colors marching, chanting, and listening to each other. I saw people of different ages, religions, genders, and from all over the country, and really all over the world, sharing a profound experience. And I knew that I had a lot to learn. But I also knew that I had to keep learning if I was going to be part of that change. I saw people being welcomed no matter what they looked like. I saw people talking to people with whom they might never have otherwise come in contact. I saw thousands of people on all sides of the street waving when the buses bringing more people rolled in. And I could feel the collective optimism of over 250,000 people. That march and the subsequent ones through the years, inspired my work in diversity and also caused me to become passionate about inclusion. Because I know, even from my own experience, that when people feel included in something that's greater than themselves, And when one person is able to help another person or a group of people be successful, that we will be creating better communities. We'll be creating better workplaces. And we will create a better world for all of us. And that's what I want. So if you think that Martin Luther King's work and that his birthday is important, and you agree with his mission, then I want you to take some time to examine your daily life. And I want you to determine whether your actions are helping us move closer to Martin Luther King's dream. And if not, ask yourself what more you can do. Simma Lieberman, I'm the Inclusionist, signing off from this segment.
That was amazing.
Thank you. I meant it.
It was a pleasure. It is a pleasure to have someone from the show actually be there, because for me, everything is, in textbook. And it's always great to be reminded and to talk to someone who was actually there. Now, one question I do have that I haven't been able to ask, LGBT activists oftentimes compare the civil rights movement to the equal rights movement, or the LGBT equal rights movement today. What are your feelings about making that comparison?
I think that there's a comparison of civil rights and human rights. That's real. At the same time, the struggles similar for civil rights, but they are different. They are different, and they're based on different things. And I think that what happens, unfortunately, that people think that the LGBT people or people who are not LGBT people think that when we're talking about civil rights, we're talking about the same exact situation as racism. It doesn't make one better or worse than the other. But I think that each has its own distinct characteristics and distinct events. But ultimately, if we're talking about civil rights, we're talking about civil rights. And I just want to say one thing, that one of the main organizer of the March on Washington was Bayard Rustin, and he was a gay man.
It's a good thing we featured that last week. You can check out that show. That's archived on our site at swirlradio.com. Simma and I will be right back for a breakup kind of a cat call. I don't know what that means, and some might think that I broke up with my girlfriend. We'll see. Coming right after this break.
Well, I'm looking forward to it.